Well, how smart are you? It is not really an easy question to answer with any specificity. Today we're going to kick off our series, Your Brain, the Power and the Possibilities, and we're going to take a look at IQ. What does it really measure? Can it tell you how smart you are? Can it determine your chances for success? Our science editor, Michael Gillen, is here to explain. Smart guy, Michael Gillen, too.
Oh, thanks, Charlie.
Yeah.
You know, the fact is we've been trying to measure intelligence forever. And originally we thought that intelligence was part and parcel of being a good physical specimen. So a lot of the early tests, for example, tested how good you were physically. You know, how can you hold your hand steady without hitting the sides of that hole, for example? Or how perfect was your head shape? Bumps and valleys indicated something about your intelligence. And then we evolved to, you know, the more modern tests, the pegboards and then the Stanford-Binet test. The problem, though, Charlie, is that none of these tests is perfect. So more and more scientists are beginning to question the whole idea of IQ.
The key to the atom's secrets was first given...
Here's an intelligence test for you. What do theoretical physicist Albert Einstein, professional boxer Bobby Ches, and mailman Al Gregory all have in common? Answer: first-class IQs.
I spent 4 years teaching myself medieval history, so I got a grasp of that. Now I'm on to other subjects.
But I didn't realize how bright I was until I took some of the school tests, and they came back saying that I was smarter than 97, 98, 99% of the population.
High IQ people, it turns out, are not all rocket scientists. In fact, many of them aren't even what society would consider particularly successful, says Abby Salney. She's chief psychologist for Mensa, the high IQ organization.
Mensa members are extremely diverse. The only thing they have in common is an intelligence score in the top 2% of the population. They range from 8th grade dropouts to postdoctoral people, from truck drivers to nuclear physicists.
To Yale psychologist Robert Sternberg, that huge variety among high IQ people only proves the huge failure of IQ tests.
What IQ tests measure are things like your ability to solve mathematics problems, canned mathematics problems, or to read some boring passages. But if you ask, are those the abilities you need to succeed as a salesperson, as a business executive, as a housewife, as a lawyer, as a doctor, as a firefighter? No.
In his book, Successful Intelligence, Sternberg cites studies that prove a highly rated IQ score does not necessarily lead to a highly rated career.
What's interesting is in our interviews of executives, how many of them will say, geez, you know, I succeeded despite the fact that I'm not very smart. And what they're talking about is this very conventional, narrow notion of intelligence.
In Raleigh, North Carolina, the Hunter Elementary School is following Sternberg's theory that there are really 3 distinct kinds of intelligence. Teachers are encouraging all 3. Creative intelligence, being able to come up with new ideas. Practical intelligence, being able to apply ideas to everyday life. And old-fashioned IQ intelligence, being able to analyze ideas logically and explain them clearly. So far, Sternberg's theory is getting very good grades.
What we find is our students are very enthusiastic and motivated by having activities in the creative, practical, and analytical areas. We also find that they are remembering and retaining the information because they are using it in different ways.
But can intelligence in any form be measured? That's the key. Some scientists thought they could answer that question by using PET scanners that can actually see into the brain, hoping to take pictures of human intelligence in action. Among them, Richard Heyer at the University of California, Irvine.
The person over here scored low on the IQ test, but you can see they're actually using more of the brain. The brain is working harder than in this person who scored high on the IQ test. Their brain seems to be more efficient. They're using less energy.
But wait, recently Heyer discovered that sometimes it's just the opposite. Sometimes it's the high achievers who are more inefficient, who glow more brightly, compared to the low achievers. All of which means we literally still don't have a clear picture of intelligence.
The more we look in the brain, the more complex it becomes. never becomes simpler. It always becomes more complex, more intricate, and more fascinating.
So complex, it's clear that even our country's most intelligent people will continue to duke it out over the question, are traditional IQ tests really a smart idea?
I don't think IQ tests are a bad thing. They have to be a good thing to measure potential. They have to measure what your mind has the capabilities of doing. I think that's good.
I do not think that IQ measures creativity. I've known high IQ people who are uncreative, and I've known normally IQ'd people who are very creative. IQ measures language ability. That's as far as I can understand what IQ measures.
And the debate goes on.
All right, let's start with IQ, though. First of all, for what it's worth, can you measure your own?
Yeah, if you want to go back, say, to your Army records, elementary school records, they'll probably have it there and you can find out. If you want to get yourself tested again, my suggestion is you go to a psychologist, a licensed psychologist. There are a lot of bad IQ tests out there, Charlie. The best ones are the Wechsler and the Stanford-Binet. If you want to test your child, there are these computer programs that will test them, but they're not necessarily official. They don't have official status. They'll let you track your child's IQ. Best thing there is to go to the school psychologist and have them test your child.
Michael, are IQs constant all the way through your life? Will I have the same IQ in the first grade that I have when I'm 21 that I have when I'm 51?
Yeah, theoretically you should, because even though you'll answer more correctly on some of the questions, you're expected to answer more. And so it's all, you take your performance score and divide it by your age, and that gives you your IQ. So it should stay constant. However, the good news is that even in young children, you can improve IQ. Studies show, and this is really exciting, Charlie, that if you take an infant right from birth, and it's very important because by the age of 2 it may be too late, but at birth you stimulate them, give them physical and mental attention. You can improve their IQ by as much as 30 points.
You can?
Yes, sir. And the other thing is you can improve your situation, not necessarily by improving your intelligence, but by improving your ability to take tests. Professor Sternberg, that you saw in the piece, he actually failed IQ tests. He was called a dummy and was put back a grade because he got so nervous when he was taking tests. So there are books on the market that show how you can improve your ability to take tests, and that could boost your IQ as well.
All right, you said you can raise your IQ some. That raises the question, obviously, of how much of it is genetics and how much of it is influenced by your experiences, by what you may do with trying to improve yourself, etc.
You know, this is really where it gets tricky. The scientists say there is some genetic component, no question about it. But on the other hand, you take a guy like Einstein, and I've written essays about Einstein, and it's fascinating. His father was a failed businessman. And his mother was a housewife who didn't excel in anything in particular. And yet they gave birth to this incredible genius. And so there is this what's called emergenesis. That's this feeling that you can put genes together and create something absolutely startling. So there is a genetic component, but as these examples show, the experiments with the kids, it's very plastic. You can improve your IQ.
We're talking traditional IQs here. You talked about a creative intelligence in there, which I don't think is measured in IQ tests.
That's right.
How do you get a sense of what that is? How do you measure that?
It's tough. Sternberg has come up with a test. But here's the bottom line, Charlie. Let's take a math problem. Now, typically in the IQ test, they give you the question. You got to come up with an answer.
Right.
Why not flip it around? Why not have the kid come up with the question? That's a more creative enterprise. That would test the child's creative powers. And also with reading. In a typical IQ test, you say, read this passage and tell me what you think it was all about. It's reading comprehension. Why not say to the child, before you get to the end of a book that you're reading, you come up with an alternative ending. In other words, nurture that creativity, that unconventional way of thinking, not just be logical or analytical.
Very quickly before we go, are you going to give us now the answer to the question?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Remind everybody that you had 2 words that you have to adjust and dress, and you have to come up with one 4-letter word that you put in front of them to create 2 new words.
Right.
Charlie, you got the answer. What do you think?
Read.
Oh, boy, you're...
Readjust and readdress, right?
I think we'll let you into Harvard now. Way to go, Charlie.